Right, I think that worked. Everybody, welcome back to another episode of A History Of. This is Series 3. We're doing the Epic of Gilgamesh with my wonderful crazy friend, Richard. Richard, if you want to introduce yourself, let everybody know who you are.
Yeah, I'm Richard Madsen. I'm doing a show on YouTube called Demolish Doctrine because I think that's what religions are actually describing in the eventuality of their completion, that it's the end of superstition, the end of ridiculous thinking, the end of religiosity. So that's basically what I'm trying to work for, is trying to help people get in that direction. So I'm supportive of atheistic arguments, agnostic arguments against religiosity in all their woo. I support the idea of no more woo. So I want to strengthen their arguments, and that's part of what I'm trying to do.
Right, well, I'm going to ignore Dave in the chat that pretends that I'm fucking muted just to freak us out. Everything is definitely right. I checked before we come on.
He's the only one complaining, yeah.
Yes, so if we can just hello to the chat. We've got No Name back. We've got a number 11 or Amiga Nuts, Bill and Nerdy's there. And of course, Manda's there. We can all wish Manda a hoping and happy recovery. So, Richard,
Absolutely.
We will just jump straight in. We did check. We are on the right page. We made sure this time.
I think we both checked, actually, yeah.
Yes, we did. So, Richard, on that...
Wait, that was just a test for the audience, remember?
No, that's right. Yes, yes, we were testing for the audience.
That's right. See if they're really paying attention. That's it.
So, I will hand over to your wonderful American voice there and go
All right. You know, Americans prefer your accent, actually. He will have the people of Uruk go into mourning and moaning over you. Will fill the happy people with woe over you. And after you, well, this is clumsy. And after you, he will let his body bear a filthy mat of hair. Will don the skin of a lion and roam the wilderness. As soon as Enkidu heard the words of valiant Shamash, his agitated heart grew calm, his anger abated. Enkidu spoke to the harlot, saying, "Come, Shamhat, I will decree your fate for you. Let my mouth, which has cursed you, now turn to bless you. My governors and nobles love you. May he who is 1 league away bite his lip in anticipation of you. May he who is leagues away shake out his locks in preparation. May the soldier not refuse you, but undo his buckle for you. May he give you rock crystal, lapis lazuli, and gold. May his gift to you be earrings of filigree. May his supplies be heaped up.
Up here.
May he bring you into the gods. May the wife of the mother of 7 children be abandoned because of you. Enkidu's innards were churning, lying there so alone. If we could go back to where we can see the beginning of that. Okay, so here we have, in my opinion...
Now, don't forget what... Okay, right, go on. I'll be an asshole in a minute.
Right on. So this I would associate to when the people of the earth who have considered all the very, very bad things that have been going on with them, and in their ascension, their mind flip over, and it's then becomes blessings instead of cursings. So like all of the quote unquote signs of end times that people are like, oh, the earth's falling apart and we're all going to die. That mindset has changed over in this scene.
Enkidu's saying it. Enkidu, the reason that Enkidu was screaming all the badness at these people, as pointed out earlier, was he'd have been safer in the forest. He's now been shouted at by God. Alright? Shamat's God. God's just shouted at him and said, look, you've had all these wonderful things. Don't be a fucking asshole. And now he's realised. So he's turning and he's saying to these people, thank you. It's a literary thing.
That's great. You get the scholarship view from MathPig and you get the religious view from me. That's pretty cool.
I'm giving my opinion from what I read. Am I fuck a scholar?
But what you're saying is very close to what scholars say about the text, you know.
But it's obvious, that's why.
Okay.
Sorry, okay. That was
That's
very
fair.
condescending. I apologize. But
No, it's fair. It's totally fair.
right, well, we've got the two different views. Okay, where were we? Here, he spoke everything, yeah?
Yeah. Those mouse wheels don't work very well. That looks like it's actually difficult to control.
It's annoying in the PDF version for this one because look, it highlights everything. I'm only highlighting that one line and it highlights 4.
Huh.
For whatever reason, it's just very annoying in this particular PDF. Sorry, go on ahead.
Quite all right. He spoke everything he felt, saying to his friend, "Listen, my friend, to the dream that I had last night. The heavens cried out, and the earth replied, and I was standing between them. There appeared a man of dark visage. His face resembled the Anzu. His hands were the paws of a lion. His nails the talons of an eagle. He seized me by my hair and overpowered me." I could cry right there. That's hard to explain why. "I struck him with a blow, but he skipped about like a jump rope. And then he struck me and capitalized me like a raft and trampled me like a wild bull. He encircled my whole body in a clamp. Help me, Help me, my friend," I cried. "But you did not rescue me. And you were afraid and did not. Then he turned me into a dove, so that my arms were feathered like a bird. Oh, gosh. Seizing me, led me down the house of darkness to the dwelling of Irkala, to the house where those who enter do not come out, along the road of no return, to the house where those who dwell do without light, where dirt is their drink, their food is of clay, where, like a bird, they wear garments of feathers, and light cannot be seen. They dwell in the dark." Let's go back up.
Where do we go? Too far. There we go. Hold on, I'll minimize a wee bit.
Yeah.
There you go. Got the whole thing. Right. Richard, just give me 1 second. You talk about that there. I'm
Yes, sir.
do a wee thing here.
Yes, sir. Okay. He spoke everything and felt everything to his friend, and
I've nowhere to put this because I'm using both screens. Dave's an asshole, right? Hold on.
maybe I should just wait till you're done messing with that, because
No,
if
it's
you have
your
to move
volume,
things,
man.
you
Your
have to move
volume. Can you
things.
turn your volume down a wee bit in your end? I think it's crackling ever so slightly.
How's
Dave,
that?
we're trying to do technical stuff in the background. Okay, we fucking knew at least one thing was going to go wrong. Like.
Well, come on, it has to. It's live production. We don't get to edit this.
Yeah, if you can turn it down ever so slightly in your end, that would be great. It's coming in crackly. Other than that, we will just move on and ignore it. Damn you, Dave.
What do you think of that? Is that any better?
Yeah, Graham, we'll work with it. Okay, fine. Doesn't matter. Go on.
Does it help if it was further away, you think? Like, is that better?
You started to get crackly now. Now it's worse. But it doesn't matter. We will move on. Doesn't matter.
It must be the connection.
Yeah, it's the
I'm
connection.
sorry.
Doesn't matter. Right, moving on, Richard. You got a little teared up there. But when Enkidu turned to Gilgamesh, his friend, at the very end, to probably apologize to Gilgamesh because, the worst.
I need to preface this a little bit, because what I think is going on here is Enkidu is the new Christ, and Gilgamesh is the older Christ, which would be his father and best friend. Okay? So when it says things like,
Now you're saying just to give Richard, this is one of the problems that people you're saying now that Enkidu and Gilgamesh are father and son. What you
Yes,
mean
they're
is
also
God and
father and
Jesus, and you're
son.
making a reference to God and Jesus.
Yeah, well,
And then
yes,
you're
God
also
and
saying
Jesus.
father and son, people think that's biological. You're not trying to do that either.
No, 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 no. They're long lineage away from each other, not first generation father and
So,
son, maybe
right.
20,000 generation
Okay,
father
so
son.
that's what I'm trying to point out. You just say that nonchalant and move on, you then confuse
You're
people.
right. You're right. That's a stupid way to say it. I should try to be more defined. Okay, so when I read this, what I'm seeing is an innocent wild man, born of this earth just like everybody else, normal, right? But he's expressed as having great strength and power because what he becomes. So it's like it's setting it up to happen later.
Oh, well, in the book,
So
in the story, he's still pretty strong at the start. He's just, he's
no,
made of the
strong
same
from
stuff
the
as
start.
Gilgamesh.
Yeah,
Which you will agree that he is made of the same stuff as Gilgamesh. Even in your interpretation, you'd agree that
right.
he's the same sort of thing.
Yeah, kind of the leftovers, if you will,
Yeah, the
but that
scrap,
not
as I put
necessarily
it.
trash.
I put it as the scrap left over, yeah.
Yeah, the scrap leftovers, but not really junk.
Yeah.
Pretty good quality scraps.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, you can build a real good car out of the scraps that's left over. It doesn't mean that it's a scrap car.
yeah. So when I look at this, when I read this, what I see is the enlightenment of Enkidu becoming the hero, and how the world helped to shape him, but then with the realization of his position in service of the people, then he comes to understand that the world has been bad for people. So he's cursing the world, and he's encouraged in friendship and brotherhood, and I mean a deep love, a really deep platonic love of friendship and brotherhood with the one who enlightened him, who turns out is God, his Father. Okay, so it's that sense of brotherhood and love. Although he wrestles with him, he fights with it. He doesn't want it. He doesn't understand that. Of course, when he doesn't understand, he would fight it. So that actually makes sense. None of us like rapid change. That's against our nature.
Yeah, this is the point I'm going to point out here, Richard, before you go and do that. This can be made as a story, as a representation of humanity, as of anybody. We act like this. This is not necessarily specifically saying this is definitely Jesus. You're just putting
Right.
that interpretation on it. Most people, would look at this and agree with the stance regardless of whether they're Jesus or not. If you'd been through this yourself, obviously you would be angry. Things go wrong. You scream out at the ones you love. But then you
We do.
realize that they did the things that they did to help you.
Right.
That's
Right.
just human nature.
Yeah. Well, I think that's actually what you're saying is actually very, very important. That the hero of the story is a person, like a real person. You know. And I think that's hugely important. Christians will say things of Jesus like, "Oh, Jesus had a sinless life." No, 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 no. It's not what it says. It says he had a perfect life. Perfect for what? Perfect for making him what he has to be.
Right. Well, I could
And
say, yeah, but at the end of the day, Richard, I could
and
say that his interpretation, or my crazy interpretation, is that Jesus is a mass murderer. And I could just say that his life was perfect to make it end up like that. You're just sticking it in and saying it's,
what he was for.
but making his life perfect is probably in an interpretation of what it was. That word meant something in particular. By just saying, oh, it was perfect for how it ended. You can say
Right.
that about any story. My life has definitely not been perfect, but it's been perfect to get to me to where I am right now.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Right.
Yes, but that's just a wide open, vague view again, just leaving it open.
That's what we're talking about. It's talking about the humanity of the hero. That's really important. Just a regular person, or like a real person, not what Christians say at all. Anyway, I think that's important.
Okay, right. Shrink her back down here, make her bigger again. And there we go. Oh, this door's back. That fucking stupid wooden door's back.
So, in the comparisons, if you would bring it back to where we just were, I don't know how to say that well. Roll your mouse forward. How do you say that?
Well, we got to the light that dwell in the dark. That's
Yeah,
where-
I know where we were at. I'm not saying you're wrong. I want to look at the part with the descriptions of animals. So,
Just see, like a bird, you're going to wear garments of feathers.
Yeah, above that, please.
The animals, he has paws of a lion.
There we go. There we go.
There we go, yeah.
So let's see. I want to go over that again. Turned it on last night. Dark visage. Okay, so he's intimidated by the presence of this other being. He's scared, and the other being has paws like a lion, talons of an eagle. He's obviously, I think, already some kind of a man. And I'm hoping there's a bull or a cow in there. And there is a wild bull to trample me like a wild bull.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the four corners of the zodiac. That's Akia the eagle, Leo the lion, Taurus the bull.
Well,
and
what star sign is the eagle?
the man.
What star sign is the eagle?
Akia. Akia got later divided into Scorpio and Libra.
Okay, need to check
Akia
that.
the eagle.
Need to check
It's
that.
one of those things I'm going to say. We can check it.
Hold on. We have a page for this.
You'll notice those are also the breastplates of angels in the Bible, and also the four beasts around God's throne.
Eagle star sign, page 28.
Aquila.
Aquila. There we go.
LA.
Ah, fuck it. You'll remember at the time, not matter. Boom. Right, okay, so we've got this crazy star sign that no one's ever heard of, and pretty much all agree that star signs are bullshit, but...
Well, they're not important as people talk about them, in like planets controlling your life.
I love the way you just said that. The star signs are not important just because people talk about them, and then you're going to talk about how important they are.
As people talk about them. Look, the stories of the Bible are in astrology. It's just they're the most base stories, the most ancient stories before people started expounding on them.
I will not disagree with you that when people had no clue what was going on and they looked up at the stars at night, they used them as calendars, they used them to help with their seasons, with planting and things like that. They also give them,
True story.
Stature that they didn't necessarily make. Look at all the different stone things around. They can tell when the epoch, or the epoch is, sorry. When you've got your summer solstice and your winter solstice, and all these things are in the sky. I'm just saying that it doesn't necessarily mean anything.
You're right, it doesn't necessarily mean anything, especially right now. But if I'm reading these things correctly, these are the signs of end times and how people will know and how their minds will flip the fairy tale into reality.
Yes, but
right. That would be important.
Okay, well, using the star signs in previous interpretations that you've used them as, in my opinion, like a map. Like a coordinate system.
Like a coordinate system. Sometimes, not always.
It should be the same all the time, should it not?
It depends on context, the way it's being used. It always does.
Okay, right.
And then we have a reference to a dove here. That's some really common terminology.
Yeah, very common.
And that's all I see right now.
Right.
Oh, except for the trip to hell. The trip to hell is right there.
Yeah, well, that's, again, just something that does be reminiscent of a lot of ancient religions and things like that, so...
Sure. Well, that's interesting, but the problem with that, bro, is, okay, if these things are common everywhere, and if these people were separated for great amounts of time, and that's true, we know, and if the stories remained despite that, and if Chinese whispers or telephone game actually should apply, why are there all the commonalities?
Because...
And really... I think the only differences are cultural explanation differences.
Right,
I don't see any real differences.
Thank you. That was something I was going to point out. Right, you have a person in Egypt looking up at the sky. Then you have a person over in South America looking up at the sky.
They see a different sky.
No, sorry, I'm not talking North and South Hemisphere. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I mean just different sides of the Earth, right? People in the Northern Hemisphere looking at the sky, same things, they think of the same things. They can come up with the same sort of story because the human element is the same. The interpretation that all these people who are made the same have come up with the same, made the same. All these people who have, evolved the same, who have come to the culture and, we've all been through the same sort of route to build, and then we get land, and then we grow food, and then we get civilization. All over the world,
right.
It's the same sort of idea. And as you pointed out, the only differences are cultural. Of course there would be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's seeing the same thing with a difference. Sorry, go on ahead.
I understand the argument of the God maker, and I think it's a reasonable explanation to say people, human beings, have a tendency to want to invent a God that doesn't exist. I get that.
Thank you very much for giving it a name. I could not think of any way of putting that across. The God maker. Thank you.
The God maker. Okay. That's several 100-year-old expression, but
it's just not what I heard.
okay, and it's totally a valid way to justify what we see. Okay, to a point, but there's a problem with it. I mean, if you have 100% detail everywhere, and it's very, very specified, at some point, I think if a person's going to be honest, they have to say that's too much. At some point, you have to say that would be too much detail for it to be human nature. Like, I can totally say earthquakes happen. If walls were leaned in toward each other, they wouldn't fall easily. But you can't have a wall forever, so why not block it off in 4 directions? That's a pyramid. That sounds like human nature. That's fine. Okay? So it makes sense to me that you might find pyramids all over the planet. Great. What if all the pyramids from an aerial view all made the same picture, and it was a complicated picture like your face?
Right. I don't think it's a complicated picture like your face, and I'm thinking the different stars and different pyramids, and there is evidence to show that they've been put in these positions. Just because they all use the...
Well, I wasn't really referring to pyramids.
You did bring up pyramids.
As an example of simplicity versus complexity, and when a person should decide it's too complex to be coincidental.
Right, and I'm using them as an example to you, where I can say that somebody will say that certain pyramids have been built in, different star signs, and pyramids at the entire different side of the earth have been built in the same sort of pattern to mimic star signs. That just means that humans give stars, stature. It just means that humans had no idea what they were going. The sun was there during the day. These were here during the night. They seen patterns. They give them names. That's what we do.
Right. What I'm saying is, what if Draco constellation was expressed on the southern hemisphere, which they can't see, and that was all over the planet. And also, you found the Southern Cross all over the planet, which thing they couldn't have seen.
This particular last 15 minutes just sounds like an Ancient Aliens episode. Nearly quote for quote.
Well, at some point, a person should, I think, that a person should say, that's too much complexity that is everywhere. I think that's not incidental. I think it's not human nature.
And everybody everybody is entitled to say they don't think it is, they don't think this, and they don't think that.
Sure,
the difference
but sometimes
is
it's insanity.
Some people, rather than thinking it, will go and ask the people who have spent years working on it.
Mm-hmm.
And they have reasons for this. I'm not a scholar. I'm not going to go into it, but I guarantee you.
Now we get into who's valid scholars, who should I believe?
Yeah, we're going to go down that route if we don't believe the people who have wasted their life, and I'm not going to ruin and discredit people who, have spent their time doing that. Education is something that should be respected, and I couldn't do it. I had the chance and I didn't get through it, and I regret for that. So, these people deserve respect. You just can't nonchalant push it to the side because it doesn't fit your interpretation. If they have a reason or a justification for what it is that makes more probable sense than aliens, like things that are more probable are more probable.
Right. Which is more probable, magic or life exists?
Okay, I'm gonna rephrase that, and I'm gonna put it across, and I'm gonna go put them in order of probability. Okay, and we're gonna go magic, Christians, aliens, you, or actual science and coincidence that we can prove. Which one's right? We're gonna include the three of them. More probable.
That's fine.
You know,
That's fine.
we're not putting it magic against aliens to say, because we're going to say aliens is more probable than magic. But you can't just say that that's the absolute answer then. It's a false dichotomy. There's lots of other things that to be taken into consideration.
I'm not creating a false dichotomy.
No, I'm not saying you are.
Actually.
I'm just saying it is. When you word it like that, it becomes a dichotomy. And it's...
Okay, so I would use the same scale you just used, and I would totally agree with you. And I find my position is not believable right now. That's fine. I'm only suggesting that it's better justification of spiritual stories than magic. It's the only thing I'm saying.
Yes. And I'm saying that the other things are, that all the other people are saying as well, or not, we're not going to do that appeal to authority, but, you know, there is more things to take into consideration other than that. Okay, right. We will, moving on. Everybody can have a drink. There you go.
And I agree with you.
Right, over to you, Richard. Upon this creaky, stupid wooden door.
Not another door. And upon the door and bolt there lies dust. On entering the house of dust, no wonder it's a stupid door if it's talking about hell. Everywhere I looked, there were royal crowns gathered in heaps. No, that's not hell. Everywhere I listened, it was bearers of crowns, who, in the past, had ruled the land. Oh my gosh. But who now served Anu and Enlil, cooked meats, served confections, and poured cool water from water skins? In the house of dust that I entered. Okay, now I'm going to say that the stupid door is the opinion of the people, especially agnostic atheist right now.
What?
It's a stupid door. It's an entry to heaven. There sat the high priest and
an
acolyte.
Entry to heaven.
What?
It's an entry to heaven.
I think it's representing the door is. That's why he builds the door from the cedars, is because he's building an entryway into heaven, and it's a stupid door that's not respected, and that's true. Feel me?
Okay, I'm just looking at this, right? And it's now there's royal crowns gathered in heaps, okay? So all the crowns and all the people who used to rule on earth, or whatever you're going to put on it, are now up here. They're in the past. They're now serving the two main gods. So not only there's slavery in heaven. Yes, we're going to get.
No. There's a big difference between voluntary servitude and slavery. There's a big difference there.
Okay, right. There's a big difference. I'll agree with you in that. Do you think that you're going to get the people who tried to kill you, destroy you, and wipe you out to decide to agree with you? No, that's going to be fucking slavery, man.
Absolutely it does. In the moment when the people have enough evidence that they require, sure it does.
Right. Who are these crowns? Who are these kings? These are...
I would say Christs of earths. That's one way to put it.
So, but Christ never ruled the land.
Right? This is all talking about end times and after it, in my opinion.
Okay, right. Okay, sorry. Let me make this more clear for you. These people are now serving Anu and Enlil. It says directly that these people who used to wear these crowns in the past had ruled land.
Yeah, right.
Jesus doesn't rule the land.
Of course he does in end times.
Why can't you just shoehorn it? How can you? It's not implied that. That's not what the implication is here. That is not what he's talking about.
I'm always going to say that's the overall context. I think it is.
But you can't just take your overall context, what you think it is, and shoehorn. That's right.
Okay.
By saying I always have to take into consideration. No, please let me finish. By saying I always have to take into consideration that this is a story of aliens. So when something in the story blatantly says something else, you will then change it to what suits the story because you say I have to take the overall context. I don't even see how you're saying that.
I don't even see how you're saying that.
I'm asking you that. That's what it's coming across to me as. Right now, when you're saying that.
Have I maintained that earths are made of land and that there's been several of them?
But when did he rule the land?
At end times. Every single time, all the stuff happens at end times.
Yeah, I get that. But it's not a ruling. Coming in with your alien spaceships and splitting up families and being alien overlords is not ruling, that's conquering. Okay? There's a difference. He doesn't rule any land. He's not a king. He's given the king status. You want to use the Christian term or whatever that is, and back and forth, but he's not a king. He's not ruling the land. He wasn't appointed king. He's coming in and conquering.
This does not suggest any gentleness or aggressiveness anywhere in that line that you're quoting.
No, I'm talking about the previous story with your previous interpretation that you said the aliens are going to come down and this is going to happen, and we read that in the previous
I mean, you can have the attitude that's wrong and violent and upsetting and stuff. You can have that attitude. That's okay.
We did. We went through this the whole way through, like season 2, Alien Overlords, that's where it came from.
But I would say that first of all, none of this has happened to you, and you don't know exactly how you would feel.
You take away from my family.
If you were having conversation with another human being, and they were like reasonable and they reassured you, and you took assurance from them,
you're now
then you might not feel what you're describing right now at all.
Right, I'll agree with you on that stance, but that's not what you said was going to happen last series. That's why we had the whole joke about them coming in, kicking the doors down, alien overlords.
No, you made that joke.
Yes.
And you're welcome to make the joke. It's fine.
But you didn't give that interpretation then.
But that's your reading of the story as we're going over it, which is fine.
You agreed that they were going to separate families.
They're going to bring them all to one place. You made the assumption they'll be separated.
No, I think we could probably go back and watch that because everybody has to get tested. Everybody has to get the root.
Yes. Why are they not standing side by side? Why can't they be taken to some other part of the earth with each other? I don't know why you assumed that. I have no idea.
Well, we went for a good couple of episodes on that. And you never mentioned that this was an impossible interpretation. You're now using it now.
It is possible, and you're welcome to it. I just don't agree, and I don't think the text is necessitating it. You're welcome to it.
Your defense here is different than your defense before.
No, I said people are going to be 12 equal groups by the Chinese zodiac birth date, right? But then you have little children who don't want to leave mommy's sleeve. And you're saying I can read this as something cruel, and I agree that you can, and you're welcome to. I'm just not sure that we can show that in the text that it's cruel.
And I'm not sure that we can show in the text what you're putting across. It says here, royal crowns ruled. These are all things that mean something. These words mean something.
Past rulers, yeah.
Again, if you come in and talk nicely to me and still take me away and do all these things, you're still conquering me. You're not being a king. Whether you talk nice to me or not, you're still conquering. You're not being a king.
Again, you're welcome to the view. I'm not going to argue it.
No. That's a definitional word. These are words like. Again, right.
We're all welcome to our view for now.
It's
perfectly fine.
We're welcome to our view. That is the whole point of this fucking whole thing, is for us to shout at each other.
So let me just go through this real quick line by line. It's a house, and the door hasn't been opened in a long time. It's been locked.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And so what I'm saying is the building of the door is like the building of the bridge or the rainbow bridge to the Summerland, and expressions like that here that's talking about the hero and what was his darn name again? Enkidu. The hero Enkidu creating a way for a people to get into that door. Okay, unlocking the door, opening the door. And on opening the door, what he sees inside, before anybody else sees it, by the way. Nobody else has seen this but him.
Doesn't say that, but okay.
He sees that there are crowns. Okay, and a lot. All right, and these are past rulers, okay, and they ruled the land. Now, if we can worry about the word "the" right there as to whether it means the one or the important. You know, we could argue that. But who now served, and Anu and Enlil, which I claim are, male, female, the ideas of God, feminine, masculine, you know? So I don't really see where there's, of course I'm extremely biased. I admit that freely, but I don't see a conflict here with anything I've ever said about any of the texts.
Last week it was a collective, now we're serving people. Last week it was a collective, now we've got people who are in a lower order to other people.
Okay, the reason that God can have be ideals, like God is love, God is forgiveness, God is etc., is because those are ideal sets. Of course, if there's going to be humans, there has to be a first human, okay? But I don't think that male-female would call themselves God.
I also don't think it has to be a first, that's a very non-evolution sort of way to look at it, that there must be a first.
That's funny because archaeologists and people who study those things say this was the first human. There is a dividing line. They go, this is not Homo sapiens sapien, this is.
There's different things, and there's different things in, but our hips, our brain size, the way in front of our faces, these things happen. You can look at a Homo species and it has more of a monkey head and a more human body, and its cousin has more of a...
Doesn't change anything. There is a metric and there is a dividing line.
Man, I'm sure that you can find an exact quote where someone said that this is the first human and probably take it completely out of context. But there is no first human. Nobody in evolution says that this is the first human. Nobody. It's a general progression. There is no transitional species. Every species is transitional, but there is things that they use to define, different species, different clades. In humans, in Homo, I think it is by mainly our hips or the way that we have our frontal lobes and stuff like that. Nobody says that.
Okay.
Okay, right. We're at the door.
Insist. I'm not going to argue it. I'm not an evolutionist. I'm not going to argue it. And I'm not a professional trained person. Confections, servitude. You can assume the servitude is slavery. You can assume that they're happy. You can assume whatever you want right there. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, saying that you don't know the topic but making a statement on it, making a statement on it and then saying I don't know the topic is fine. Go and ask people.
I'm trying to stick to the topic at hand. I'm pretty darn familiar with the theory, actually.
I know. Sorry. We're being back and forth tonight. We're being very back and forth tonight at each other. Richard, go on ahead. Let's hear your lovely voice.
Oh, which I don't think it is, but that's okay. I'm glad you like it.
I hear mine all the time.
In the house of dust that I entered, there sat the high priest and acolyte. There sat the purification priest and ecstatic.
Yeah.
There sat the anointed priests of the great gods. I almost said Greek gods, of the great gods. There sat Atena. There sat Sumukan.
I don't know. It's nearly Mortal Kombat.
Ereshkigal, the queen of the netherworld. Belisteri, the scribe of the netherworld, knelt before her. She was holding the tablet and was reading it out to her Ereshkigal. She raised her head when she saw me, and she said, "Who has taken this man?" She's like surprised to see him in hell. Okay, so this is expressing both heaven and hell as one thing. That's kind of odd.
Well, that's your interpretation. Everybody else thinks it was hell and never stopped being hell. You popped it up to heaven and now you're having to pop it back down to hell again.
No. How do you have Anu and Enlil in hell and the crowns of past rulers in hell? Well, so this is obviously saying all one thing.
Well, I don't know the way that their religion works, but if I was the god of absolutely everything, I could sit anywhere I wanted. I could go anywhere I wanted. Even if I went to hell, the person who I sent to hell is just ruling hell. They still have to bow down before me because I'm the god of everything. So if I
And we're
went to
going to
heaven,
completely. Sorry, go ahead.
so again, I don't know the way the religion is set out, but I'm just saying, if I was the God of everywhere, then I would, live in heaven, vacation in hell. Doesn't mean that I'm not in charge.
That's true. And we're not even going to hear the conversation because 50 lines are missing here.
Yeah, I know.
Great.
Right.
How many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a
look,
Tootsie
and then
Pop?
there's another 20 lines missing. Do you know, this is very
The
coincidental,
world may
Richard.
never know.
Do you think that the aliens come down and destroyed these tablets just so we wouldn't
No,
know?
I think time, clumsiness, human mistakes.
But it always
you know.
seems to be really important things,
It depends on how you look at it. I see all this stuff as being important.
Well, the interpretation of a dream that talks about what's going to happen, and then the interpretation of either meeting heaven and hell, they're pretty big.
Would have been nice.
Would have been nice, Would have been nice.
Would have been nice if that was there.
Oh, you see, Maya's turned up. Hi, Maya, and Doc's here as well. Has turned up. I never got to say hello, and Brainbug as well. Appreciate you all coming.
Peace and respect,
Richard,
Maya and Doc.
I turn it over to you. And
yes, sir. And I question mark. Right away, there's something missing. Who went through every difficulty.
Well, hold on,
Remember
hold
me.
on, just to say, is it not usually dots that interpret missing? The fact that 50 lines are missing and it starts with I, the question mark, could probably mean they have no idea who's saying this.
Right. That's exactly right. It means part of that tablet is destroyed and there's no way to interpret it. So it's something I, who went through every difficulty. And that question mark, I think normally they would have put, some name there, like probably Enkidu or Gilgamesh, and they don't know which one to put. So they just left the question mark.
Yep, that's what I'm thinking.
Remember me and forget not all that I went through with you. My friend has had a dream that bodes ill. The day he had the dream came to an end. Enkidu lies down a first day, a second day. That Enkidu in his bed. A third day and a fourth day. That Enkidu in his bed. How can the same thing be missing every line? A fifth, a sixth, a seventh
Alien
in his
overlords.
bed. An eighth, a ninth, a tenth, an Enkidu in his bed. What?
The important line is missing every time because of the alien overlords.
Someone took a laser and made a stripe down the thing. Did these people write from right to left? Because then they would all line up.
I'm not sure whether it was right to left or right. It could be up and down.
I don't know either. I have to ask Dr. Josh or Miss Megan Lewis.
Yeah.
Enkidu illness grew even or ever worse. Enkidu drew up from his bed and called out to Gilgamesh, "My friend hates me." Pause. While he talked with me in Uruk, as I was afraid of the battle, he encouraged me. My friend who saved me in battle has now abandoned me. Oh, wow. And I and you. 20 lines missing. Fractured tablet. Okay, yeah. I think we're getting into greater detail here. We've got some overview taken care of, a lot of overview taken care of. And, we've done the wrestling with God. We've done the I see other heroes of past lands.
Look, end of the tablet, man. It's got 10 minutes to the end of the hour. So we'll do this and then we'll go and take questions from the chat. If you want to finish. We only got 2 pages done this week.
That's okay. That's okay.
Right, go on, finish up there.
Okay, after the 20 lines missing. At his noises, Gilgamesh was roused. Like a dove, he moaned. May he not be held in death. O preeminent among men, to his friend, I will mourn him. I at his side. And let's stop right there because it's a good place to stop.
Yeah. Are you okay, Richard?
I'm okay. Dude, this stuff touches me, but it touches me when I read about Ram and Lakshman too, and so
No,
either I'm
it's fine. I
absolutely
understand that.
insane or this stuff really means something to me.
No, I totally 100% understand that, man. I don't think you're being disingenuous in any way. That's one thing that I wouldn't say that you are doing. Definitely not. So I do understand.
Insane, maybe. Disingenuous, no.
Pardon?
I said insane, maybe. Disingenuous, no.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah. But no, we do. The whole point of this show is for you to say, and for me to come up with either my interpretation or the scholarly interpretation, and push and prod and find holes. Because if anything, Richard wants to be able to prove to people this is true. And if I scream and shout and find holes in it, Richard can either fix them or justify them. So this is the whole point of it.
That's slightly incorrect, if you'll forgive me.
Go for it, man.
I don't expect anyone to believe me.
Okay. Right.
I don't.
But you want them more. You want them more.
It's convincing. In fact, I'd say since 2012, if I approximated the conversations I had with people who actually it meant something to them, females 1 in 3,000, males 1 in 750. Actually, if it meant anything at all, extremely rare.
Well, I apologize if I strawmanned you. That was not my intention.
I don't think you were.
Straw
man has to be on purpose.
No. Well, just yeah, you know where I am. That's just I say it as I say it. Fuck the whole world, and I'm right, you're wrong. Alien overlords. So, any questions from the chat? No Name has said that he's pretty sure it was right to left.
Okay, that makes sense. That would line up the missing piece or scratch or the damage or crack or whatever it was.
Dave wants to know how many men and women was it that you've talked to approximately?
Oh gosh. I have no real count for that.
More than you have fingers and toes.
I did speaking in public, not screaming with a bullhorn and preaching, repent, repent. It's not what I did. I had conversations with people, and I had just had conversations every day. I would just stand in public. I would do paintings or drawings or something to get people over there to pay attention to it, and then we'd talk about the drawings, which were all biblical drawings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I would say total females, probably total less than 5,000 females, probably less than 10,000 men.
Still a fair amount.
I would say. What?
Richard wants to, or Dave wants to know, do you still do that, or is it just focused on the YouTube channel now? Do you find that it meets more people if you do it via YouTube?
If someone happens across me when I'm in public, I'll have the conversation if they're willing. I still do that.
Yeah.
I just don't try to provoke it anymore because I think my time is better spent with you guys.
Appreciate that. Mama's made a comment in the chat that she sees the same mannerisms and hears them in both you and Beth, and she finds it adorable.
She's my baby brother. I love her.
When's her next show? Friday, is it? Tomorrow?
I think so.
Beth has a show tomorrow. If anyone hasn't subbed to Beth, Dave will do his wonderful mod thing and pop it in the chat. It's just
pre-thank you, Dave.
Yeah, pre-thank you. Yeah. Anything else coming up on your channel this week, Richard? Have you any talks coming? Are you any popping up on anyone's channel?
I recently went on Praise I Am That I Am and had it. I think some people thought was an interesting conversation with Darth Dawkins and Jill. And at least I think it's going to be edited and be featured on Mr. J or Jay Passek's channel.
He's called Mr. J, yeah. Spelt Mister and then the letter J. And sub to Jay. Very good conversations there. And he has a bad habit of maybe once a month wiping everything. So, Yeah.
So watch it now.
Watch it when it comes out. Do watch it when it comes out. You'll miss it. Yeah, I've got Chris Shelton coming up on Sunday, 5 Eastern Standard, 10 UK. So call by for that. We're going to talk some Xenu. You want to jump in on that, Richard? Afterwards, you can talk some aliens.
I don't even know what Xenu means.
Xenu is the leader of Scientology. He is an alien that came here thousands of years and trapped loads of alien souls here. They're called Thetans. Scientology believes that the more you pray, the more Thetans you can move off your own soul. When you reach a certain level and you get rid of them all, you can then become an alien and Xenu and all that shit.
You know, it's one of the. I have a basic overview with no real depth of understanding of Scientology, but it seems to me they're describing a non-progressive or unhealthy symbiosis, and the idea is for you to get rid of your human spirit and become like an animalistic machine. It's one of the most satanic things I've ever heard of.
Yeah, well, you're more than welcome. We'll be having an after party. I'll send you the link. Come by the show and let me see your name in the chat so I'll remember, and I'll definitely send you a link.
Thank you, brother. Does the guy believe these things, or is he critiquing them? Or
he was born into it basically and was raised in that for 30 odd years, or late 20s or something like that. He has left now. Yes.
Good for him. Good for him. Should be a great talk then. Yes. Really interesting stuff.
Should be good fun. So that's happening, as I say, 5 Eastern Standard, 10 UK. Call by, we'll all do that. And there's a link to the non-community. If everybody could give the link to the non-community, it's in the description as well, I think. If not, Dave will do his wee posty thing. And yeah, everybody sub to that. It's something we're trying to build for the community. So if everybody is there, it'll give us all a hub. You can all meet new people and meet new channels and get new content and stuff like that. So definitely should be something. If we can get together and we can help everybody as a community. So on that note,
we're all Dave dependent here, aren't we?
Pardon?
We're just extremely Dave dependent.
Well, at the minute, I know the description is up to date, but I don't think the non-community's in it at the minute. I know it's in the other ones, but we'd be lost without
I keep trying to get people, and they say things like, "I'll come on," you know, and then I'll bug them not too often, and maybe I'm too patient. I don't know. But I'm looking forward to someday conversations with Doc Fearsome, S.J. Thomason, Dr. Joshua Bowen on Scholar Fiction again, and others.
Yes.
It always seems to be a scheduling problem.
We all get busy. But yeah, Richard's links are in the description. That's for sure. Reach out to the man on Twitter. Email is the best way to get Richard.
True story.
Have to say, Richard, liking the grey coming through. It's looking well in the beard.
I'm doing this for you. This is a sacrifice, you understand.
What do you mean doing it for me? I have no idea what you're talking about. Your beard did this. Your beard has been fighting for the grey for about a month, maybe 2 now. Like he hasn't need to pop up and fight for freedom lately, though.
I am presently compelled by the beard, but this will go back to an auburn.
We shall see. We shall see.
Well, it will.
On that, everybody, thank you very, very much for coming. I really appreciate it. And as always, if nobody watched, then this would be a waste of absolute time. So I appreciate you as always, and we will oink and out. Bye-bye.